Good afternoon. Today I will discuss Chapter 5 entitled Books of Accounts and Double Entry System. So these are our learning objectives. First is to identify the uses of the two books of accounts. Second is to illustrate the format of general and special journals. And third is to illustrate the format of general and subsidiary ledgers. So let's discuss the two books of accounts, namely journal and ledger. So journal is also called the Book of Original Entries. It is the accounting record where business transactions are first recorded. So this process is called journalizing. So there are two types of journals. It can be classified into the following: special journal and general journal. So special journal is used to record transactions of a similar nature. Special journals simplify the recording process, thus providing an efficient way of recording and retrieving of information. Ito yung mga common examples of special journals. So first is the sales journal. It is used to record sales on account. So dito mo makikita lahat ng benta mo na hindi pa nababayaran ng customer. So 'di ba madali lang kapag nag-check ka ng, paki-check nga kung bayad na si Mr. A. So i-check mo lang yung sales account mo. Makikita mo na doon kung ano yung mga benta mo kay Mr. A na hindi pa nababayaran. Another one is the purchases journal. So it is used to record purchases of inventory on account. So lahat ng binili mong inventory na hindi mo pa nababayaran, makikita mo sa purchases journal. Next is the cash receipts journal. It is used to record all transactions involving receipts of cash. So lahat ng mga transaction mo na nakatanggap ka ng pera ay makikita sa cash receipts journal. And last example is the cash disbursements journal. It is used to record all transactions involving payments of cash. Lahat naman ng naglabas ka ng pera ay makikita sa cash disbursements journal. So a business may have other special journals to suit its needs. So for example, purchase returns journal, kung madami kang na ibabalik sa supplier mo na mga binibili mo. Or sales returns journal, ito naman yung mga binabalik sa'yo ng customer mo na nabili niya sa'yo. So yun yung mga different types of special journal. Another type is general journal. So all other transactions that cannot be recorded in the special journals are recorded in the general journal. Examples of such transactions include purchases of inventory in exchange for notes payable. For example, bumili ka ng inventory pero ang in-issue mo ay notes payable. So makikita mo siya sa general journal. Or any adjusting entries, correcting entries, reversing entries, and the like ay makikita sa general journal. So if a business does not utilize special journals, all its transactions are recorded in the general journal. Kasi baka tanungin mo, ma'am, paano kapag yung business ayaw naman mag-maintain ng mga special journal? Pwede ba yon? Pwede. Pero lahat ng mga transactions nila ay makikita mo na ngayon sa general journal. Unlike kasi kapag may mga special journal ka, mas madaling maghanap ng mga transactions. Kung mga sales cash receipts journal, for example, makikita mo na agad dun yung mga needs mo. So yun yung kagandahan naman kapag may special journal ka. So let's have an example. You sold barbecue to a customer who promised orally to pay the sale price next week. So this transaction involves sale on account. Therefore, it is recorded in the sales journal. Another one, you sold barbecue to a customer who immediately paid the sales price. So binayaran niya. This transaction involves the receipt of cash. Therefore, it is recorded in the cash receipts journal. Another one, You sold barbecue to a customer who promised in writing to pay the sales price next week. So, saan mo ito makikita? Hindi mo ito makikita sa cash receipts journal kasi hindi ka nakatanggap ng cash. So, this transaction, hindi mo rin ito makikita sa sales journal kasi may involved dito na promise to pay. So, this transaction cannot be traced or recorded in the special journals. Therefore, it is recorded in the general journal. So next is the ledger. So the ledger is a systematic compilation of a group of accounts. It is used to classify the effects of business transactions on the accounts. The ledger is also called the book of secondary entries or the book of final entries because it is used only after business transactions are first recorded in the journals. The process of recording in the general ledger is called posting. Kung kanina, journalizing, sa journal, pag sa ledger ay posting. So there are two kinds of ledgers. So it can be classified into the following. Pwedeng general ledger or subsidiary ledger. So general ledger contains all the accounts appearing in the trial balance, and in a subsidiary ledger, it provides a breakdown of the balances of controlling accounts. Ano yung controlling account? A controlling account is one which consists of a group of accounts with similar nature. So the balance of the controlling account is known in the general ledger, while the balances of the accounts that comprise the controlling account are shown in the subsidiary ledger. Not all accounts in the general ledger, though Not all accounts in the general ledger are controlling accounts. Only those whose balances necessarily need a breakdown are considered controlling accounts. So for example, you sell barbecue on credit, utang. The balance of credit sales are not yet collected. 100,000 siya. So this information is known in accounts receivable kasi hindi pa nga nababayaran ng customer. So this is a controlling account in the general ledger. However, knowing only the total balance is insufficient. You need a breakdown of this amount. You need information on which customers owe you money and the amount each customer owes you. So, for example, yung 100,000 na yun, syempre hindi lang enough na may alam mong may 100,000 na utang sa'yo ang customers. So, yung 100,000 na yun, yung buong yun, makikita mo siya sa general ledger. Pero sabi ko nga, hindi pwedeng yun lang yung alam mo. Kailangan malaman mo kung sino-sino yung mga customers na may utang sa'yo na nag-total ng 100,000. For example, si A, 20,000 doon. Si B, 30,000 doon. Si C, 50,000 doon sa buong 100,000. So, yung breakdown na yon ay makikita mo sa subsidiary ledger. So, yun yung difference ng subsidiary ledger at general ledger. So ulit, pag general ledger, makikita mo lang yung kabuuang accounts receivable na 100,000. Pag general ledger, makikita mo yung kabuuang accounts receivable na 100,000. Pero sa subsidiary ledger, makikita mo kung sino-sino yung mga customer na may utang sa'yo kaya nakabuo ng 100,000. Makikita mo yung breakdown niya na si customer A, 20,000 doon, si customer B, 30,000, at si customer C ay 50,000. So, yun yung difference ng dalawang ledgers. So, ito yung summary niya. So, si books of accounts, journal at ledger, nahahati siya sa tig-dalawa, general journal, special journal, general ledger, subsidiary ledger. Ang description niya, pag si journal, siya si book of original entries at ang function niya ay journalizing. Si ledger, it is the book of secondary entries at ang function niya is posting. So, ito yung format ng general journal. Ito yung makikita mo sa general journal. Makita mo yung date. It is, the date column indicates the recording dates of the transaction. Kung kailan nangyari yung transaction, makikita mo siya dyan. So, transactions are recorded in the journal chronologically, meaning arranged by dates. So, kung mauna si August 3, next si August 4, next si August 5, hindi pwedeng mauuna si August 5, sunod si 3, sunod si 4. Hindi pwede. Dapat sunod-sunod siya. Sa account titles, so you can see here the accounts affected by a business transaction. Recorded siya dito sa column na to. So makikita mo si bad debts, makikita mo si allowance for bad debts. Si account number naman, so it is the corresponding numbers of the accounts affected by transaction. Next is yung debit at yung credit. So debit and credit columns, the monetary effects of the transaction to the accounts are recorded here. So makikita mo din na yung mga centavos are placed dun sa dulong column. So other columns may be included. Pwedeng may posting reference, may journal entry number, may mga ganun pa. Next is the format of the ledgers. So makikita mo dito na kapag subsidiary ledger, may customer A at may customer B. Pero kapag general ledger, ito na yung kabuuan ng account na yon. For example, ito yung subsidiary ledger ng accounts receivable. 4,000 plus 2,000 is 6,000 na makikita mo sa general ledger. So, double entry system. So, all transactions are recorded in the accounting records using the double entry system. So, under this system, each transaction is recorded into two parts, debit and credit. So, no transaction is recorded by a debit alone or a credit alone. So, dapat laging may partner. Kung may dinebit ka, may credit ka din. So, for each amount that is debited, there must be a corresponding amount that is credited and vice versa. This is in order for the accounting equation to be balanced at all times. So, laging tandaan na kung magkano yung nasa debit side, yun din dapat yung total amount na nasa credit side. Kasi sabi nga natin sa Chapter 3, Accounting Equation, dapat balance siya at all times. So, if at any time the accounting equation does not balance, there is an error. So, recall from our previous discussions that debit simply refers to the left side of the account, while credit refers to the right side of the account. So, may dalawang concept. So, concepts of duality and equilibrium. So, the double entry system involves the use of the concepts of duality and equilibrium. So, the concept of duality views each transaction as having a twofold effect on values. So, a value received and a value parted with. And each transaction is recorded using at least two accounts. So, hindi pwedeng same account ang nasa debit at credit mo. Siyempre, magkaibang account siya. So, ibig sabihin, meron at merong dalawang account na naaapektuhan kada transaction. Next is the concept of equilibrium. Requires that each transaction is recorded in terms of equal debits and credits. So, for every peso debited, there is a corresponding peso credited and vice versa. So, kung nag-debit ka ng 100 pesos, dapat may credit ka din na 100 pesos. So, yun yung concept of equilibrium. Ito yung tatandaan nyo. Ito yung mga normal balances of accounts. Normal balances, ibig sabihin, yun yung balanse niya kapag nadadagdagan siya. So, yun yung normal balance niya. Si asset, pag nadadagdagan siya, debit siya. Kasi yun yung normal balance niya. Si liability, pag nadadagdagan siya, credit siya. Si equity, pag tumataas siya, credit din siya. Si income, pag nadadagdagan siya, credit din siya. Si expense naman, pag nadadagdagan ay debit siya. So kapag kabaliktaran nitong normal balance yung gagawin mo, ibig sabihin binabawasan mo siya. For example, si asset, nilagay mo siya sa credit. Hindi yun yung normal balance niya. So binabawasan mo na siya. Si liability, nilagay mo siya sa debit, binabawasan mo din siya. And it follows na dito sa equity, income, and expenses. So to help us remember the normal balance of accounts, ito pala, let us recall the expanded accounting equation. So mapapansin mo, ito yung accounting equation. Ang accounting equation talaga is assets equals liabilities plus equity plus income minus expenses. Kung matatandaan mo yung chapter 3. Ngayon, dahil minus expenses siya, ilipat ngayon natin siya sa left side para lang gawing positive siya o algebra yan. Para lagi niyong tatandaan, etong mga nasa left side ng formula, ang normal balance niya ay debit. Diba sabi nga natin sa T account, pag nasa left side siya, debit siya. So etong mga naiwan sa credit side, liabilities, equity, and income, ang normal balance niya ay credit. So sa T account, nasa right side siya. So, yan lang yung tatandaan nyo. Asset and expenses, normal balance is debit. So, pag nasa debit siya, nadadagdagan siya. While liabilities, equity, and income are credit, nadadagdagan siya kapag nasa credit side siya. So, yan yon. So, friendly advice, I encourage you to memorize the normal balances of the accounts as this will make your study of accounting much easier. So, tandaan nyo, asset and expense, nasa left side, debit. Liabilities, equity, and income, nasa right side, credit siya. Normal balance niya yon. At pag sinabing normal balance, nadadagdagan siya pag nandyan siya sa side na yan. So, pag nilagay mo na siya sa kabila, mababawasan siya. So, ito yung rules niya. To debit an account with a normal balance means to increase that account. To credit, it means to decrease it. So, to credit an account with a normal credit balance means to increase that account. To debit it means to decrease it. So, analyze natin to. Si asset, ang normal balance niya ay debit. So, sabi ko nga kanina, pag i-debit mo si asset, dinadagdagan mo siya. Pag i-credit mo siya, binabawasan mo siya. Si liability naman, ang normal balance niya ay credit. So, pag credit mo siya, dadagdagan siya or mag-i-increase. Pag dinebit mo siya, mababawasan siya. Si equity, ang normal balance niya ay credit. So, pag credit mo siya, mag-i-increase siya. Pag dinebit mo siya, babawasan mo siya. Sa income, ang normal balance niya ay credit. So, credit is increase. Kapag babawasan mo siya, ide-debit mo naman siya. How about expense? So, the normal balance of expense is debit. So, dahil yun yung normal balance niya, pag dinebit mo siya, mag-i-increase siya. Pag credit mo siya, mag-i-increase siya. So, lagi mong tatandaan yung concept ng T account, which resembles the alphabetical letter T. The left side of all accounts is the debit side, while the right side of all accounts is credit side. So, the normal balance of an account is the side where the account is increased. So, ito yung another summary niya para mas maintindihan nyo. So, yan yon. So, another one is, kapag pala kinuha mo yung balance niya, kailangan mong ibawas yung debit at credit side niya ng lahat ng accounts mo. Na-discuss na yon sa previous chapter. So, debits to a specific asset or expense account should be greater than the credits to that account. On the other hand, credits to a liability, equity, or income account should be greater than the debits to that account. So, kung ang asset mo, ang normal balance niya ay debit, syempre, pag pinagbawas mo si debit minus credit, ang magiging balance mo ay debit. For example, meron kang 100 pesos na debit. Ang credit mo ay 80 pesos. So, magkano yung magiging balance mo? 20 pesos. At yung 20 pesos na yun ay makikita mo dito sa debit side. Kasi yun yung normal balance niya. Logic. Paano naman mangyayari na mas magiging mataas ang credit balance mo sa cash? Paano ka makakagastos ng mas malaki sa hawak mong pera? Possible ba na 80 yung debit mo tas gagastos ka ng 100? Siyempre hindi. So, mali na yun. So, kung ano ang normal balance ng isang account, dapat dun mo makikita yung balance niya or yung ending balance niya. So, for illustration, pwede niyong i-check yung book sa chapter 5, page 148. So, let's discuss the contra and adjunct accounts. Some accounts have related accounts to them. An account related to another account is referred to as either a contra account or an adjunct account. So, contra accounts are presented in the financial statements as deduction to their related accounts. Adjunct accounts are presented in the financial statements as addition to their related accounts. So, if an account has a normal debit balance, syempre yung contra account niya has a normal credit balance. So, to credit a normal debit balance means to deduct. Ano yung mga example ng contra account? So, naalala nyo si building at si accumulated depreciation building? So, si accumulated depreciation building ay contra account ni building. So, yun yung magkakontra. Bakit? Siyempre, kung ang amount ng building mo ay 500,000 at sabi mo every year bumababa siya ng 100,000, yung kailangan mong ibawas yung accumulated depreciation sa value ng building mo para makuha mo yung net book value niya. So, dun mo makikita na mag-partner si building at si accumulated depreciation building. At si accumulated depreciation building ay tinatawag na contra account ni building. So, another one. So, if an account has normal debit balance, its adjunct account has a normal debit balance. To debit a normal, debit means to add. Pag adjunct naman is padagdag siya. Kailangan mong idagdag siya. So, on the other hand, if an account has a normal credit balance, its contra account has a normal debit balance. Pag contra account, basta tandaan mo, pag contra account, magkaiba sila ng normal balance. So, kung si building, ang normal balance niya ay debit, si accumulated depreciation naman, ang normal balance niya ay credit kasi magkakontra nga sila. Opposite siya. Samantalang sa adjunct naman, kapag ang normal balance niya ay credit, yung adjunct account naman niya, ang normal balance ay credit din kasi mag-a-add sila. So, a contra asset account has a normal credit balance while an adjunct asset account has a normal debit balance. So, these are the examples of accounts with contra accounts. Si accounts receivable, ang related account niya ay allowance for bad debts. So, contra account niya yun. Si building, accumulated depreciation ang contra account niya. Si equipment, accumulated depreciation din ang contra account niya. So, the sum of the balances of an account and its related account or adjunct account is called the net carrying amount or simply the carrying amount of that account. Example, your accounts receivable has a balance of 100,000, while the related allowance for bad debts account has a balance of 20,000. So how much is the carrying amount of your accounts receivable? So meron kang accounts receivable na 100. Syempre, dahil contra account niyang allowance na 20,000, ibabawas mo siya para makuha mo yung neto or yung net carrying amount niya na 80,000 pesos. Next, you have a building with a historical cost of 1 million and an accumulated depreciation of 300,000. So how much is the carrying amount of your building? So building is 1 million, kailangan mong ibawas yung contra account niya na accumulated depreciation building 300,000 para ma-compute mo yung building, yung net carrying amount niya na 700,000 pesos. For any questions and reactions, pwede kayong mag-chat sa MS Teams natin or sa group chat.